All right. First, to the irony of how these poems that I've written, and most of them I wrote, even though you're seeing them, or everybody sees them pretty much tomorrow, they've been written months ago, and they're in the pipeline for months. This one's perfect for today. They seem to be perfect. So here we go. Crossing. So much to handle. For bodies, for states. 3, so obvious. Only when, in 4th, can't cope, can't play, can't see until we land in 4th. By Guru's grace, anchored in 4th, pulling us in across the span of waking, tundra, dream, deep sleep, to meet our self in Turiya. So I've been looking at the whole thing of being with your experience, whatever it is, let whatever come up, and function appropriately on the physical plane. And people will see this as a recipe. And it is of sorts. It's a tool, but it's actually to actually do it, to live it. So a lot of people go, I got the recipe. I've got it. I got it. I got it. I got the recipe. But that's first level. Doesn't matter. I'm done. So now I just have to follow the instructions and I will get to my destination. Done. I got the recipe. I got the tools. I got the whole thing. But the fact is, it doesn't work. So, Baba used to tell the story of Bulleh Shah. Bulleh Shah had practiced what he was taught in his village or town with everybody else, the same thing, and for years and years and years. And finally, one day, someone says to him, come with me to this great being. So he goes, and he sees this being, and in his presence, everything becomes clear. It all opens up. And Bulleh Shah goes back to his town, and he starts talking about this. And the others say, he's a heretic. He needs to be branded. Heretic, brand, heretic. And Bulleh Shah says, fine, you can brand me. But first, what would you do to someone who promised something and they didn't give it to you for over 20 years? He said, brand them. Brand them. He said, well, good. Then brand yourselves first. Because you promised me something and there was no way I could get it from this. It was only from that great being. So why did I spend all those years with teachers? And great teachers. And not get where I wanted to be. So with Annalisa Mertz and dancing, I got to V-Talker. Like any good athlete. And I understood how to stay there and be there when I did dancing. It was great. With Chung, Tai Chi, I got to the Shakti. Got to the energy. I got to the weird experiences that everybody wants. Trust me, I got bored with those experiences pretty quickly, but people love those weird, whoa, power, woo, 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 woo. But when I wasn't doing Tai Chi, everything was back to normal. When I wasn't dancing, everything was back to normal. Baba was the only guru. Why? It wasn't about the recipe. Nothing works without the guru. Nothing works without the guru. You can't make your bed. Or as someone said the other day, go to bed. Which I thought was a much more appropriate title for that book. It struck me down. Yeah, that was the right title. Go to bed. Without the guru. And what that book and so many people think is once they get that recipe, that's it. They got it. And they can just drive on forth. And they think they don't want the guru because the guru's not a regular person. And if you don't want to accept that, there's no grace. So people think the guru is just a regular person pretending to be something more. Bigger, prettier, smarter. It's all about the delusion of Harry Potter, where we just need a wizard who can give us the right spells, and we've got the right movements. And so all those wizard teachers in Harry Potter, they were just regular people who had gotten the spells. But it's not that at all. It's not that at all. Most people do sadhana without the guru, and the shrunken self wins. But I'm doing the sadhana, I'm following the recipe, I'm doing the tools. Shrunken self wins. Now, whether there's grace or no grace, the shrunken self is the one doing the sadhana. The self doesn't need to do sadhana. Self is the self. But The shrunken self wins because their sadhana will be going in the wrong direction. It will be being a more pretty, more powerful, more strong, more committed, shrunken self. So it doesn't matter whether you're a Navy SEAL like McRaven, or someone who goes to a retreat in an ashram, and they've all figured out the recipe, and they're disciplined, and they're strong, and they're steady. The problem is they're still committed to their shrunken selves. And what is wrong with being committed to your shrunken self? No love. No love. It's not even in the equation. It is not in the equation. So you get to be successful. You get to get a good job, a career, or this or that. But there are problems with all of that in that what happens is embedded in the shrunken self is what? Ignorance. What?
I was going to say, yeah. No.
Ignorance. What were you going to say?
I was going to say it's destruction, but...
It's destruction. Yes. So what's going to happen is gradually all that success is going to go somewhere. And depending on the vehicles, because what is a shrunken self? A bunch of vehicles. That's it. Depending on how clear those vehicles are, whether you're going to go over the cliff, whether you're willingly as a lemming going to run over the cliff, whether you're going to be so deluded that you convince yourself of all kinds of things. They can't, that shrunken self cannot, in truth, win. But it's determined. Because, why? Why?
It's fighting for its life. It believes it's who we are when we're going to die.
That's right. It's fighting for its life. It believes that's all it is. That's all it is. Hence, if we go back to the Go to Bed book, it's totally the 10 things were all these rigid rules. It was a recipe. And if you do them, great. And the only reason Saddam Hussein did not make it, according to that book, was because what? He didn't make his bed. He didn't make his bed. If he had made his bed, maybe things would have been better. He didn't follow the recipe. It's really weird. So without the guru, the shrunken self does sadhana to no avail and believes it is a great success. Pats itself on the back, did this, I'm doing fabulously. It uses reason rationalizing, justification. But without what? Processing. Without the Guru's grace, the shrunken self just makes itself better based on its assessment, its idea of perfection, its idea of better. If it is good, there is no need to practice. Things are good, no need to practice. Practice is only when life sucks. Because the purpose of practice then, and that's how, because it's not love, because it's the shrunken self, the purpose is pleasure. If I'm already get the pleasure, I don't have to practice. And practice, again, is just following the recipe. So that is the wrong knowledge that only the Guru can root out. So be with your experience, whatever it is. Let whatever comes up come up and function appropriately on the physical plane. Functioning appropriately means surrender to God and Guru. You have to surrender to grace. The shrunken self works with grace then to dissolve and dismantle the shrunken self. Baba always said the bird to paradise had two wings, self-effort and grace. And everybody goes, oh, yeah, yeah. And what are the two things? Self-effort and grace. Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. And you can't have one wing. You have to have both wings. And everybody goes, yeah, 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 yeah. No, he meant it. And it's right effort and grace. And that means you have to surrender to grace. We had, for people who, we went on a trip the last few weeks. And we had an idea of what it was going to be. We had a hope of what it was going to be. It wasn't it at all. Not even a little bit. The one thing that stayed true, though, is that we were together. We continued to love. We continued to laugh. And we continued to take care of ourselves, even in the situation that appeared. And there were some pretty crazy moments. I just flashed again on getting out of that garage in Lisbon. So David drove, and we stayed one night in this not nice place in Lisbon. And there was a park, there's free parking. Oh, how cool, free parking. Because in Lisbon, it's not easy to park. So, and the parking garage was right next to the place. So we put in the formula. The thing opens. We don't get there. The thing closes again. We open it again, and David starts down this thing. And it's not that long, but we were in a full-size station wagon, and the walls of this thing were for a smart car. And this car that we were in had all the bells and whistles with the I was like, and it shines up on the board, and you get to see the red and the yellow and the green, and it's just, and we're going down, and it's not that far, but it's down, and it's curving.
There's one curve.
It was just like, but it went like this, correct? And then down.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was it. It wasn't like we were going to -6 level. It was just the next, first level down. And it was horrible. But we did it. But the next day, we have to get out of there. So it was decided that I not be in the car. Thank God. So Aaron and I were out across the street, and it was a dead-end street, so it didn't matter. And the gate's down. There, Ian and David are gonna do this thing. And Aaron and I are standing there. And we're waiting. And we're waiting. And we're waiting. And all of a sudden, this car, little car, zips to in front of the door. Aaron goes, should I tell? And doesn't even have enough time to go across the street to say, the door opens, and he's zoom, gone, and the door goes down. I mean, it was so fast. It was wild. And we're like, Aaron and I were, and we're waiting to hear the crash. We didn't hear anything. There's nothing. We hear nothing. And Aaron and I are standing there, waiting, 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 waiting. And finally, the door opened again, and out comes David and Ian. And we're like, oh. And it was only maybe how long is that thing? 50 feet? 60?
Yeah. Maybe 60 feet.
60 feet.
But just that narrow, that curve, the geometry was bad.
And both ways. So
Yeah, that one lane was in and out. There was no conceivable way even a person could actually stand next to the wall and you could get by.
yeah.
No way.
So what had happened was David and Ian had started. You had just gotten in when that car came down.
We had just started on the ramp at the bottom, just barely, so we had to back up.
And the guy seemed totally normal,
He
right?
was fine with it.
He was fine with it.
That sort of thing happens.
No problem. And there it was. A small incident. Not fun, but life. But life. And we all loved each other. We all laughed. It was so crazy. And everything seemed to be like that, pretty much. But it was okay. Because we were together and we loved. And we were constantly, okay, next, next, next. Where do we go next? And that's the point. So, what is the importance of grace embodying in a person?
It's how we get to God. It's
How
the
we-
only way. It's the means.
Yeah, it's the means. It's the means. You can't get to God without the guru. You can do self-effort from here to Timbuktu. Can't do it. And you gotta love. And it's gotta be real love. And it's only through the guru that you get to love.
And that you get to like see, like if you did the recipe and you experience what you're experiencing, and then you can have that experience. Like you don't always know, and you need the guru to like help you. Like, where is that? Like,
Yeah.
I'm acting appropriately, and I'm having that, but like, why do I keep having that? And,
Right, there's no discernment.
And so you need
Right,
you to,
the shrunken self is going to decide conspiracy theory. It's being done to me.
so you shine a light on that.
Yes,
That experience and what's behind, what's even underneath that.
absolutely. Absolutely. How many people thought, like, okay, so for you at the weaving workshop, was it a conspiracy theory? Totally.
100% close circle. Nothing.
They had all met prior
Yes,
to
they
you getting
figured
there.
it out ahead of time.
They had figured it out. They had the schedule. They had all decided you were going to be the designated one to attack. And it made sense to you.
Yeah, it did. It fit in
With
what
your
I come to expect.
right. So it was justified.
Yeah.
So all action was justified. It was perfect. So what was the problem? There was no problem. And then you never change. And that's what you're saying. You can't grow because the shrunken self is so smart. And it knows better than anybody else.
Because you have that uncomfortable feeling, right? Then it
Mhm.
like it's coddling. Like it makes, well, it turns it around, and like so you don't have to have that.
You stupid. Yeah. 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 You don't have to face reality. Yeah. So Max, you there? Did you want love?
No.
Did you know that you didn't want love?
No.
So did you convince yourself the only reason you didn't come was because it was because of school or whatever, work?
Yes.
And you didn't get any glitches, any anythings?
Glitches.
Glitches. Knowing betters.
No, I had doubts crept into my mind.
Doubts. And what did you do with those doubts?
Brush them aside.
Mm-hmm. Brush them aside. Yeah. So it has to do with love is messy.
I also wonder, like, if he didn't want love, or did he feel like he would also have to love somebody, and like
Yeah, he would have to love
he
somebody.
would have to love too, and that maybe
Yeah.
is an uncomfortable place.
It's love is love. Love is love. Love always works both ways. Love is love. Harold, did you want to love me? No. It works both ways. It always works both ways. Yes, absolutely right. Christy, why didn't you say something to Max? Mm-hmm.
I should have spoken up and asked why he wasn't going.
And it goes to, are we going to live our lives? And what are we doing here? I mean, not just here in these bodies. Good question. The only reason we're here is to love. It really is. It's the only reason.
I think the comment that Max made about brushing aside his doubts was an opportunity to face what is that he may not have done.
Mm-hmm.
Because obviously, Max, you were conscious of brushing aside a doubt and didn't face what that was.
Yeah.
And that's why you need the guru.
And that's exactly.
Yes.
And that's exactly right. And you have to be willing to do what the guru says. Have to. So while I was away, did you do what I told you to do, Jim? Did it work?
Definitely.
100%. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Could never have done those things.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You. Thank you. Mm-hmm. Not a regular person. Regular person?
Mm-mm.
Why not?
Because you come from a totally different place, and it doesn't always make rational sense.
No, definitely. You can't
Really,
justify,
really.
reason it, you know.
You can't.
Nope. Not even Rohini can do that. I can't make sense of it. But if it's the answer, it's the answer.
Mhm.
It's messy. It requires the dissolution of the individual. We're only here for love. That's it. I just got your answer. I just got an answer for you. So don't go. It's a good answer. Good answer. Good answer. Mm-hmm. So Harvey and Elizabeth didn't come. They had great reason, rational and whatever, but wasn't. There wasn't. There was no. For people who were there at that workshop, was it a long day?
It was long in the number of hours.
I agree. It was a lot of work, but it went by very, very quickly. It was like vroom, vroom.
Was very rich.
Mm. Mm. Yeah. Yeah. Because it was about love and sharing love. And that's all it is. Seems so simple, doesn't it? So, to that, I want to do some forcotomies because they will help. First one, dessert, not the desserts that we had in Kashkash, which was chocolate mousse. We had a cheesecake with pistachios once. It's very, an orange drizzle. It was very interesting. Honey. Not those kinds of desserts. Dessert, as in leave, before dessert is served. Opposite of dessert. Stay. Remain. Engage. Hold the line. Steadfast. What's the positive of dessert? So I'm going to go to Max. What's the positive of dessert?
To take the high road.
Yes. Can everyone see that?
I was gonna say, maybe also set boundary.
Yes, set boundaries, which is partly taking the high road. Yeah, setting boundaries.
I was thinking tactical retreat.
So, like if I were to go to Elizabeth and Harvey, they took the high road. They set boundaries. Can you see this?
When I think of dessert, maybe I keep thinking for me unencumbered.
Mm-hmm.
There's that too. There's a free.
Free.
Yeah.
Free. But when you take the high road, what do? You're unencumbered. You free yourself of all responsibility.
Yeah, it's like
You rationalize yourself
a good idea.
why it's such a great idea. Yes. And what's the negative of engaged? Hold the line, steadfast, and remain.
It's like face the fact you have to face what's in front of you.
Right.
Down.
But it's
like
messy. It's mired in conflict. Think of that, mired in conflict. I never had a problem with messy. I don't have a problem with, so let's just put it out there. I'm trying to think, nope. So in field hockey, I was left wing. Same with lacrosse. What? Yeah. Constant. Yeah. No problem. Perfectly happy to engage, get in the thick, and do. Take it. So you start looking at what do I retreat, take the high road, or am I engaged? Really important. Next one. Retreat, recuperate, restore, recover, heal. And by the way, that's what we thought we were going to do on that trip. The joke was on us. Mhm. What's the opposite of that?
Attack, use up resources.
In the thick of it, into the action, embroiled, into the fray. That is pretty much what we ended up doing it. Right. What's the negative of retreat, recuperate, restore, recover, heal? Isolate. Max, you thought you were going to take care of yourself, and actually what you ended up doing was isolate yourself. So did Elizabeth and Harvey. And they thought if they ended up at that workshop, they would have been embroiled into the fray, in the thick of it. What's the positive of that?
Engaged.
Alive community. Community. It's sort of funny, isn't it? And the more you love, the more you see, oh my God, it is all about community. And that recuperating and restoring happens in community, not isolating. Yeah.
And for that matter too, so does Into the Fray. I mean, we do it together.
Yes. Yes. So we, as in David, Ian, Aaron, and myself, were community, and we picked up community as we went to get help. And we found, oh my goodness, so many things of having to maneuver through and being able to see where community was and where conflict would be. And as we moved, and we left that initial place where we had thought we were going to be able to recover, recuperate, heal. And it was funny because it wasn't even isolated. There was no privacy, but it was in a way isolated. And we went and found community. Fascinating watching as you, what do you want to do? Where do you want to go? What is it that you want? and love. And we found love in so many different places during that trip. I found people so caring and loving Monday afternoon in the ladies' room of the TGI Fridays. I got finally on Route 29 for 2.5 hours. And as I didn't know it was 2.5 hours, trust me, I had no idea of the time. It just went on. But appreciative of everyone who loves and willing to love and willing to be in community. And it is messy. Trust me, Monday was messy. It's messy. Love is messy. Oh, but it's so worth it. So worth it. So I have 2 more. And we did this on Thursday, or actually there are 3 more. Concept driven as a positive. And I'll just say them because most opposite is unimaginative, no vision. And the negative of concept driven is impractical. And the positive of unimaginative and no vision is practical, livable. So we were staying in a place that was concept driven, that was completely unlivable. And I kept on saying, because it was owned by a German that we know, what happened to the Bauhaus? Where's the Bauhaus? Does everyone know Bauhaus? You don't know? Wow. Form follows function. So function is real important. Real important. But that isn't what happened here. Function followed form. I felt like Sam the Tailor in that entire place. Everyone know the story of Sam the Tailor? So this guy goes in to a shop to get a suit made. Comes back, gets measured and everything, comes back, puts it on. This is horrible. And the guy says, well, if you just bend your arm here, it fits right. So he does. But move this way and it'll fit. How about, over here. There, now it fits perfectly. And he walks out and people in the street say, wow, what a great tailor to have made a suit for such a crippled person. We've totally felt like Sam the Tailor. There was no function. It was hysterical. Nobody thought about how you live. There were no chairs. We bought chairs. Concept driven. So if we just took a photograph for Architectural Magazine, it looked great, just as long as you never use it. So next one, concept driven as a negative. Opposite. Oh my God, made for living. Positive of concept driven. Creative, visionary. And the negative of made for living. Mundane, pedestrian. Oh my God, who needs a chair? And last one, veneer. Opposite of veneer, solid, depth, solid. What's the positive of veneer?
Easily removed.
This is true, but looks good. Looks good. Right? It's fake, but it looks good. And the negative of depth and solid, permanent, unappealing. Just thin surface indicators. We used to joke about the phrase amazingly lifelike. It's fake. Fake. Have to love, and not as a veneer. What's the veneer of love? Adoration's one. Appeasing. Sentimentality. Sentimentality. Pity? No. That goes, no. It can be a fake idea, but you don't tend to do that as a, what are you actually doing when you pity? There's a coddling. That you have to go to the word that would make it more to, yeah. So sentimentality, to be sentimental. Where's that come from? Emotions. Thoughts with goo. Sense, it's an idea. It's concept driven. Tentacles, senses. Where does love come from? The heart. So I said this the other day. I'll say this now. All I can offer is love. That's it. If you're looking for something else, wrong store. Got to go to some other store. Yes.
So, I just try to explain and think I got wrong to see if I've understood properly.
Okay.
So, if I had been coming from a place of love, for example, this Saturday when we were having the workshop, I would have rearranged what I was doing that day to make sure I could be there, say even electronically,
Mm-hmm.
and then have set out that boundary that said, oh, I'm on holiday, therefore nothing applies. I think
Yeah, you missed. So on holiday, your idea of holiday is a holiday from love? Yeah. Yeah. You were concept driven and stuck to it. And so you were committed to your recipe of life, and that's the shrunken self. So there were people like Sarah Kumar, who was in the middle of her master's finishing up, and she, instead of Johannes and Maria came in on Thursday, and Sarah came in Friday night, stayed for Saturday, and left early Sunday morning. Wasn't going to miss it. You'd have to know what you were going to miss to have made that choice. And you didn't know what you were going to miss. Or you did and chose to miss it. And I need to ask, how long is the flight from Greece? How long? 3-4 hours. Oh, Elizabeth opens her mouth. Interesting. Yeah. Long flight? Oh. No. What were you going to say, David?
I was going to say, for Harvey, I think one of the things that would be worth looking at for you, Harvey, would be remembering what you know from your own direct experience of being in the room with Rohini, in her presence, and what's happened for you in that regard, and then sit with, okay, how did you arrive at the decision not to do that again? When there were certainly other ways. It was not an either or. It was not workshop or no holiday or whatever. You know, it's.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's a decision, and it's about what I want to do in life, and then the guru has to arrange its schedule for everyone else. I don't think so. Doesn't work that way. Just doesn't. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry for you. I'm sorry for you because you missed. And Agnes, what did he miss?
I actually thought of them during the workshop, and I was wondering why. Because I seem to remember that you were living in London, and I didn't ask a question, but I really felt that it was a real story. It was just amazing. And every single person in this workshop says the same thing. It was, so much love and community, and being with Roy is such a chance, and you're all so lucky here in the US. I'm really grateful.
So we had talked, I had said Friday night to Clémence, did she think that the workshop was just going to be a concept-driven event? And at that point, she did. But she experienced something very different. Because we play with concepts. But is it concept driven ever?
No.
No. So it's experiential. And that's a rare opportunity for anybody. You can sit and read the book. So you miss. Yeah.
I just wanted to say, my experience of being on the computer and not in person, and the blog, I think, said this so well. Just that for all of you on the computer, I do, and I felt so much and feel so much love for you. You do not feel far away at all. I know I do not know a lot of you. Probably even mispronounced your names on the computer, so sorry, but just so much love for you. And that would never happen without you. And I just feel that I wanted to say that. So, hello and
Yeah.
Allie.
Yeah. So it's messy. It's messy. And I'm going to say it. Thank God. It's messy. Thank you.
Thank